Hello and welcome to the Test Community.Network. I hope you're safe and well. My name's Tim Burnett. We've got a very special session today in conversation with Jim Holm, talking about Simternships. Now, if you don't know what Simternships are, then I do recommend you stick around because it's a really, really fascinating topic, and one that I think is almost like a kind of midway between an apprenticeship and kind of an internship and work experience. And I just think the whole idea is very scalable and has huge potential for people to have an opportunity to learn, experiment with companies that they may never have had an opportunity to work with, or a job role, but also for the people on the other side, the employers, to see some amazing talent that's out there and see what's standing out. So we'll get into that in a second. As ever, anything that you've seen today and you like and love, then go to the testcommunity.network. You'll be able to find it there. We've got podcasts, events, marketplace, lots of content in there as well. You can subscribe to the Test Community Network on the website as well, and that will give you an email that comes through once a week, which is jam-packed full of things that you will have missed within the assessment industry. So it's a good way of kind of keeping up. I also have on there the webinar that I did last week, I think it was. This is about cheating AI tools. So basically, I used AI to create tools that I could then cheat undetected in assessments, from audio kind of descriptions of the answers that I should be giving, right through to buzzers about my person telling me which answer option I should go with. And that was all capable of me kind of built using chat-based AI tools. No coding, abundant access, a couple of bits of hardware in there. And really fascinating. There was one great quote that came out from it. So AOs need to work together to solve this problem. I don't see any organizations doing this themselves. Now, it was AOs that attended this, and I will be speaking to the vendors kind of separately about what I've kind of learned from this process. But I think the fundamental thing that people need to realize is that, if this kind of technology is in the kind of abundant access to everyone who's taken a test, then things like knowledge-based testing and remote proctoring needs to be kind of reconsidered. Now, I've just put an article on the E-Assessment Association's website, which is about the idea of revision. So you need to revise your whole policy and your approach to assessment to kind of accommodate these threats. You may, if you need to, relocate to back to a test center for some or parts of your tests, if you need to lock down, or if you can't protect the integrity through the online proctored kind of experience, and you do need to start to rethink. And that's the bit we need to do as an industry, is completely rethink. Because if you think about AGI, artificial general intelligence, the capabilities, the knowledge that they will have, the way that we're going to be working in our workplace, the wearables that we have about our persons, the implants that we're going to be having soon, then we need to kind of considerably think about where we're going with all this. So I do recommend you check that out. I'm sporting a nice little ITS t-shirt today. Thank you very much, ITS. I picked this up at the Innovations Conference. Sorry about the drilling. Hopefully that'll stop in a second if you can hear that. But also, brilliant t-shirt, lovely. I recommend. Thank you to the guys there. Also, I picked up this great cut from Rogo at the Innovations Conference. So if you go to an event, you see one of these, it's worth checking that out there. I'm sorry about that drilling. Next door neighbours are doing something. One recommendation and tip with that is stick a couple of ice cubes in there, pick up a couple of those cheap tins of gin and tonic, and then you've got a nice journey. I'm going to get into the interview, and I'll do the banners for this afterwards because they've started cutting away. So here's my conversation with Jim, and I'll come back after this and I'll share some of the events that come into the assessment space. Here's me in conversation with Jim. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Are you well?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Tim.
Excellent. So you're in this space of Simternships. Do you want to tell us a bit about that? Before you do, actually, just tell us a bit more about yourself. Anyone who doesn't know you, just give us a quick introduction to Jim, and then tell us all about Simternships.
Yeah, so I'm Jim Holm. I've been in education technology and people measurement businesses for almost 30 years. Lots of experience to companies you'd be familiar with. I joined a company called Stukent just over a year ago, and Stukent builds Simternships. And it's a really exciting advancement in the way we're helping young people learn about what their jobs are going to be like in the future.
So what's involved in that then? What's the kind of process there?
Yeah, so a Simternship is a technology-based internship. It is a companion to a course that an individual would take either as a late high school student or as a college student. And the simulation is designed to help them understand what their first experiences are going to be like in a job. And so if you think of an accountant, or if you think of a digital marketing expert, or if you think of a person who's just learning about marketing, these individuals learn the concepts of what they need to do in the classroom, but they might not learn the hands-on skills that they're going to need to have in order to be effective at their job. So they need to learn the tools, they need to learn how to communicate with those around them, and they need to learn how to identify the objectives that they have as an employee and be able to work towards those objectives. And the Simternships that we build are designed to help them understand what that experience is going to be like. And so Simternships, simulated internships, it's, I think, a clever term for us that really explains exactly what we're trying to accomplish for the young people we work with.
And how is their experience then, these learners? How is that enhanced by undertaking one of these Simternships?
Yeah, so if you were to take an example of one of our Simternships, let's say it's an introduction to accounting, you may know from the class that you've taken or the class that you are taking right now, the principles of what accounting is, why accounting is important, what the technical terms that you're using, but you might not know how it's applied in a business setting. So in our Simternship, you'll go through 24 to 40 hours of work where you'll be introduced to a boss. That boss will then tell you that you need to go in and help track a product. You'll have to make journal entries. You'll have to help understand the impact of a product in the company. You'll have to be able to help coordinate communication between different groups. And so the ability for you to actually apply what you've learned in a company setting that's fun, that might be a little lighthearted, that allow you to be able to have a low stress environment to learn these skills, that I think is a really nice asset. And it's a very nice companion to what you learn in the classroom. Our job is to help you be college and career ready. So whether it's to help you be really good at the next course you're going to take, or for you to be prepared for your first job that you're going to take, that's the level of the work that's being done in this internship. So many simulations, Tim, as you probably have viewed, are at a very high level. They're going to emulate if you're the chief marketing officer or you're the vice president of sales and you make these strategic decisions for the business. And those are fun from a theoretical perspective, but they're not giving you the hands-on skills that you need for your first job. And that's what the Simternships are really designed to do, is to give you the balance of the fun and the strategy and the skills that you're developing in your course, but also the practical hands-on application so that you have a better understanding of what's going to be expected of you in the workforce.
So are there kind of any particular limitations or opportunities that are kind of associated with this? Are there particular topics where it works better than others? What's your kind of experience in that?
Yeah, that's an insightful question, Tim, because today, all of our Simternships are in business topics. So if you go to the College of Business, we have 40 different Simternships that you can take from pretty much any topic that you can think of in the business school. That's where our first one came from. Our first Simternship was in digital marketing and social media marketing. And so that's the base of where the business came from. And it's been a natural extension for us to continue to build out into all kinds of business topics. I think Simternships can work really well with any technology, with any program or application or web-based application that an organization is using. But there might be some things like chemical engineering or nursing where the simulations would be materially different than what we do today, that it is possible to build those out and really change what's being done in education, but it's outside the scope of what our company focuses on today. So business courses or adjacent to business courses is a nice fit for us.
And are you seeing any particular trends into kind of take up, engagement? What is the kind of typical person that's taking one of these Simternships? Yeah,
so we work hand in hand with professors around the world. And what's really interesting is that if we demo a Simternship to a professor, the professor is over 65% likely to adopt it in the classroom. So the challenge that we have from a business perspective is to get more professors to see it, because everybody loves the idea. Everybody is intrigued as to what the application is and how it can be used in the classroom. But until you see the application at work, it's a little bit hard to visualize what it could be, because it is different than anything that you've probably worked with in the past. And so that the business challenge is, how do we get in front of more people? The exciting thing is that once people see it and use it, they are really ecstatic about it. We have very high student satisfaction scores. We have studies in which schools of accountancy have more than halved the amount of dropouts that they have, because the students know what to expect, both from their courses and to get excited about how they can impact business, but also then gets them more prepared for the courses that they're coming. So educators love it because of the engagement level increase that we see with students. And we're also excited about the employment opportunities that come from the kind of after school experience. And that's why the Simternship becomes important. One last thing I'll bring up here is that a Simternship is a lot more engaging, a lot more fun than sitting there and reading more materials or being lectured to or watching a video. The interactive nature, almost the gamification of the learning materials become important for you. And that's one of the reasons why that student engagement goes up. So better learning outcomes, more excitement from the student, better attachment rates for them to continue on into their major, and a better expectation of what they are going to be doing in their jobs are all really important outcomes. One of the unassociated or unanticipated outcomes that's really interesting, Tim, is that students also now have something to talk to that differentiates them from others as they go out and try and find a job. So for them to come out and say, look, I've gone through these Simternships, I can have a better understanding of what I'm going to be expected to do. I can speak to what I'm going to be expected to do at a more nuanced level than I could before taking a Simternship, means that they're more prepared to stand out in a crowded job market. So lots of side benefits like that comes into play, but we're really excited about what's happening in the market right now. Customers all over the world being successful with it.
So in terms of the alternatives then to doing a Simternship, if you kind of look at the traditional model, then you've obviously got in-person classroom education, classroom experience, where you're only learning from a handful of lecturers or teachers on that particular subject, potentially who have not been in that role for some time. Or you've got that distance learning kind of piece, haven't you, where people are very much individually left alone, maybe occasionally collaborating with other students, but yeah, they're just reading, listening, watching content. This is an alternative, really, probably aligns itself more as an alternative to that e-learning remote experience. Does it, or could it?
So we partner with live in classroom teaching experiences around the world. And what we're trying to do is to get as close as possible to an apprenticeship. Because we think that years of hands-on experience and mentorship is the best way to learn a profession, but it's really difficult to scale that. So to be able to augment what's happening in the classroom or augment what's happening with an online learning course with the Simternship, I think is a very nice intermediate step that allows us to be able to have the student receive experiences about what their job's going to be like. And the earlier they can make a decision about what they want to do with their career or what they have affinity with as an individual, the better off everybody is in the economy, because it's a more efficient decision and it's got a higher probability of a positive outcome. So the low cost to try multiple things, I think, is also an important part of what could come out of a Simternship.
And how much AI kind of is how much AI is used in this the kind of process? What's that's involvement?
Yeah, so we use AI in a couple of different ways. One, we use it as an internal tool to help us build the simulation, help us build the scenarios of what we're going to be presenting to the student. The second thing is that it's not generative AI, but we use AI as part of the decision-making modules within the Simternship itself. So if you were to take a digital marketing course as an example, our digital marketing Simternship will introduce you to your boss. It will introduce you to a product. It will introduce you to some market research. And then it will ask you to start making posts and ad buys in order to be able to improve the sale through of the product that you're representing. Our software and simulation will go through and emulate what Facebook, Meta, Google, Twitter, others will do in order for you to be able to maximize that market return. So the AI systems that Stukent is using today helps us emulate that real world flavor and feeling and response to what the student is doing.
And how difficult is it to then kind of set up one of these then? How scalable is this?
So it's very easy to set up a Simternship for a course. We can connect directly into an LMS platform that most professors are already using today and be able to very quickly have access to the portfolio of Simternships that are available. To build a new Simternship, it takes a lot of development effort and engineering effort in order for us to be able to be successful with that. And so it usually takes about 2 years of planning to have the course and the new Simternship built in order to be able to have it be effective in the market.
Okay. So we were talking very briefly before, because we were kind of talking about in the innovations conference and my kind of experience there. And I think the comment I made was that, things like multiple choice and those kind of traditional testing methods are potentially kind of significantly under threat from AI and that kind of knowledge recall piece. Do you see a kind of future where this kind of approach could replace a lot of the traditional assessment methods and experiences that we know today?
So, Tim, I'm a big believer, and have been for quite a while now in the testing industry, that having individuals prove what they can do instead of what they know is going to become increasingly important in the world of AI. And so for you to be able to go in and know facts or to have a certain set of experiences might become less valuable, because AI is becoming very rapidly as smart as most of us on most general intelligence or general information type of questions. But being able to know how to apply that information in ways in which you can meet business objectives will be really important. So I see a world in which Simternships not only are learning tools, but also could become measurement tools, where you could go through and say, how successful is an individual at synthesizing information, at communicating information, and about making decisions that are important for us to move forward with our business objectives, and have it be a very sophisticated type of measurement tool in the future. And so I think that all of us in the industry need to be thinking about how we move past the world of multiple choice questions and into the world of how do you measure people performance in a more nuanced way in order for us to be able to keep ahead of the easy use of AI for answers that we've traditionally used in the past to measure performance.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think performance is the future, isn't it? That's the kind of measurement approach that we need to be kind of adopting and using more. Whereabouts are you? So you're deployed in a lot of US-based states and schools. Are you international? What's your kind of coverage so far?
Yeah, so about 80% of our current universities, and we are in over 1,000 universities around the world today, are based in the US. And then we have great customers in the UK, in Canada, Australia. Our Simternships today are natively built in English. They do have some Google Translate and other tools built in, but we really consider those as kind of English as a second language set of tool set versus a native tool set that's available. So right now, largely English speaking countries around the world.
And maybe in higher education, but is there opportunities to break out into kind of other parts of the education system or even to the corporate space as well?
Yeah, so we have certain projects in the corporate space that are kind of one-offs for what we're doing. But there is a fabulous opportunity, especially in the United States, in the high school level. We currently have simulations and courseware built for the CTE, or Career and Technical Education programs, across the 50 states within the US. We made a small acquisition of a business called Business U last year that will help us to continue to move into that space and be companion to our Simternships there. So we see a lot of growth opportunity to move to the equivalent of high school juniors and seniors, especially in the career ready world of how do we make sure that if they're not going to go on to university, that they have a valid career path and they know what those opportunities are for them. So I think the high school market is an up and coming opportunity for the Simternship idea, and government funding of those programs is pretty aggressive around the US.
Sorry, the last question on this kind of the apprenticeship structure, because here in the UK we have quite a well-organized apprenticeship approach. Germany and places like that, obviously, they thrive on apprenticeships, and that's been the bread and butter of their working society. Is this kind of apprenticeship thing a new thing to the States, or is it being, is this gelling well with your kind of the work that happens out in America?
Yeah, so I think that the Simternships really are being accepted at a high level. It is very difficult in the US to scale an apprenticeship program to the millions of students that would need to have equitable access for those programs and have it be successful. So I think being able to have a simulated internship capability or a simulated apprenticeship capability will be really important for us to be able to meet the education demands of some of the larger education systems throughout the world.
Excellent. Okay, there's a conference coming up in the UK. It's the EPAO conference. I don't know if you've ever heard of it at all. Fab event. Yeah, so it's a big apprenticeship one. This is the kind of thing I love to see at that, rather than the kind of standard conversations we have at these conferences. I love the idea of us exploring these new methods, and this, particularly in this direction of the performance stuff. So I'm super excited. I'm going to be following yourself and your work with this very closely, because I think there's a lot of potential with this. Where can people find out more information?
Go to Stukent, Stukent.com, and you can learn all about it.
Excellent. Well, I'll put that link in the show notes as well. But thank you very much, Jim. That's really appreciated. And I'd like to get back on with the day. But thank you. That's a really insightful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
How awesome was that? Thank you for that, Jim. This is just something I think is super exciting. So from my kind of work that I do as kind of teaching in higher education, further education, not higher, and colleges, and just giving students the opportunity to kind of try out a job. I think it's super kind of exciting in that kind of performance way. And as we move away from the kind of dependency on knowledge-based testing and kind of mix that more into a performance-based space, then I think this kind of thing is super awesome. Thank you for that, Jim. Much appreciated. Right, so events coming up. So we've got on the 7th of May, E-Assessment Association, they've got a webinar coming out about the future 5 principles. This is where they looked at 5 targets that were set in 2020 by JISC. And they're going to catch up and see how that is performance, basically where we are. Obviously, that was just before the pandemic. So we've had a pandemic, we've had an AI revolution, Gen AI revolution. So some super exciting things going on. So it'd be interesting to see how that compares. Matt's leading that, Matt Wingfield. So that's good. Ecom, we've got a webinar. Webinars proving competence to rethinking skills assessment for today's workforce. So if you want to check that out, head over to the Ecom team. You can see the link on the Test Community.Network. It's repeated there. Sorry about that. And we have on the 10th to 12th, the British Council of International Schools, COBIS, the 43rd COBIS Annual Conference. It's worth checking that out. We have the AALHE. I'm sure there's a funky name for that, but Assessment Learning Exchange. That's virtual on the 14th. Cambridge Assessment on the 14th. I've got their authentic assessment in the age of AI, how to meaningfully incorporate AI into your assessments. So it's worth checking that out. I think that's a course, so it's worth having a look. You might have to pay for that one. 22nd of May, how AI use is expanding in K-12 schools. That's a virtual conference, virtual event, so it's worth looking at that. Criterion, I've got a webinar coming out. Age of AI, a lot of AI stuff here going. What tech companies should do next, as their guidance from the team there. Leslie Thomason probably on as part of that. And we've got Dublin Tech Summit 2025. So if you're involved in the kind of technology industries, then it's worth looking into that. Then further, just slightly further ahead, we have the JMU Centre for Assessment and Research Studies, CARS Assessment 101 Summer 2025. So it's a higher education event. More details can be found on the Test Community Network website, as ever. If you want more information, then please do check that out. Thank you for watching today, and I'll be back with more next week. Next week, we've got an interview with Bradley Emmy talking about AI detection and plagiarism. So it's going to be we recorded it a couple of weeks ago. This guy really knows his stuff. He's MIT student, formerly at Tesla, looking at AI technologies there, and he's now applying his skills along with his co-founder to solve this kind of AI detection tools and some really quite eye-opening pieces. So thank you, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.